Hey, what's up guys? This video is all about routing or routing. So routing is basically you're telling where audio and MIDI to go. In Ableton, you're working strictly with audio and MIDI, be that internal audio routing or audio coming in through your sound card. That brings us to sound cards. So depending on your sound card, you could have 2 ins, 4 ins, 16 ins, you could have line inputs, preamps, mic inputs, and it really depends. For me, I have 2 inputs, 2 stereo inputs, so that's 4 inputs. So I'm going to go over that first. So you're going to want your audio track, so we'll just make an audio track. Let's have it set to external in, which is the default anyway. If you don't have anything coming in and it's going right to the master, and you have, when in auto and off is not selectable, then it's a regular audio track, and that's how you deal with it. So I know that input 3 and input 4, left and right, is my virus. So I can just turn in so it tracks, it listens, and here it is. Minus, the volume I need to gain and DC offset and fun stuff like that. That's basically how it works. And you can have it set to go into your master or another track. You can actually send this to another track, and you can just have tracks sending to tracks sending to tracks. You can have it sent to your sends. So your sends are down here. Have it send to sends only, and this is your send volume. So on your send and returns, you would put say like a reverb and have it all the way wet, so then you can mix in certain signals with that. And that's basically how send and returns work. I don't really use send and returns, but you can if you want to. All right, so I will do that again. I don't know why I closed it. So 3 and 4 is my virus in. So say I want to send MIDI to that. So what would I do? All right, well, MIDI, we'll just create a new MIDI track. We will have it purple so we know what we're looking at here. MIDI kind of works the same way. So the top part of this and your I/O could be selectable by clicking on the I/O button here. You have your input and then your output, right? So right now there's no MIDI output. The MIDI is not going anywhere, but we're receiving MIDI from everything. Right, so MIDI from the push, you can see, right, that little MIDI data strip thing. We're receiving MIDI. Say if I wanted to turn machine into a MIDI controller by pressing Shift and Control, turns into a generic MIDI controller. The pads turn into keys. I can have it receiving that. I can have MIDI from the actual synth or a keyboard. I can have it from anything, like something from 70s with MIDI, or it was made in the 80s. Something from the 80s all the way to, I guess, 20 years from now when MIDI's still around. You can see MIDI from everything. All right, so that's all ins. We can have it set so it'll only receive MIDI from certain ports. So this is push only, right? So receiving the input from push. From machine, we're not getting anything. So we can have it set so we can have one MIDI track playing a synth, and only the inputs from push will affect that synth. We can have another one that has a different synth that your friend's playing, and only machine or like another MIDI keyboard or the synth keyboard or what have you is only affecting that synth. So you can generally have 2 sounds going on at once if you want to, 80s. And yeah, that's really good. So we're thinking, so where would I want to send this? Well, I'd want to send this to my synth if I want to record. If I want to play my virus synth with my push, it doesn't necessarily work if I go to that audio channel and do that. So what I'll do, that's my audio channel here. Does this work? Right, we have sound. So I want to send this. So it goes input. Where is this coming from? And the output. So my output would be this will definitely be different for you. My complete audio 6 out, because I know that the audio 6 out, the MIDI out for my audio 6 goes right into the bum of my virus. Right, so we have MIDI coming from this channel into our MIDI from push going into this, coming out to the audio 6, the interface in the back, through a dinosaur cord into my Access virus, and that Access virus is coming back in to inputs 3 and 4 on this, and you're hearing sound. And right? And this, the machine, nothing's coming through. Nothing at all. All right, so with that, you'll notice that there's channels, MIDI channels. So there's 16 MIDI channels, and this is traditional. I will show you. So think it's 16 channels. All right, so why is there 16 channels? It's because one MIDI cable can record 16, or can theoretically send out 16 separate MIDI data streams at once, right? And I'll give you an example. So I'm going to create MIDI track, turn it off. So this is my favorite synth in the whole world. This is my Virus Snow, and it sure likes to take its time. So this is my Virus Snow, and you'll notice that it looks neat, first of all, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 part multi-timbrels, four part multi-timbral. So there's 4 synths in one here. So if I wanted to, all right, I want to send this to my Virus TI Snow. Ableton will talk to the VST, and we have 4 possible destinations, and I'll show you those destinations in theory. Please work. So we have track 1. That's track 1, and then we'll have track 2. We're getting audio from track 2, track 3, coming out through track 3, and so on, right? Since like Omnisphere are like 16 part multi-timbral, the big Virus is 16 part as well. My Nord is 4 parts, and my JP 8000 is 2 parts. So yeah, and it's just basically how you route it. So if you wanted to have all of these playing at once, right? You would duplicate, and then you'd have this set. Okay, we'll just want to play 2 at once, right? So, right, so we have audio MIDI out 1 and MIDI out 2 going to internal 1, 2. So basically, Ableton talks to your VST devices, and basically that's how that works. Another thing is you can output certain VSTs. You can have a separate output for each part. So what I'll do is I'll go, okay, this will be USB audio 2, left and right. So I'll just close this guy down. So this is silent, so I'll turn that off. And I'll set the external in for Virus Snow. So the part 1 is pre-effects, obviously, I would assume, yeah. And oh, I want to turn it on. It's receiving audio from audio 1, and I'll just have the filter there so you can hear the difference. I'm going to create or duplicate this still from Virus pre-effects. I'll have this for the second part because there's the possibility of 3 audio streams from the USB on this particular device. So I'll have that. So where was I? All right, so I have part 1, audio there, go down, part 2, and it goes out like that. And a lot of synths can do this, and this is where you get into like side chaining and interesting routing effects or routing. And yeah, this is basically routing. You can have it set so it'll receive all ins. All ins is anything that's receiving MIDI is what it gets. And you can have it receiving MIDI from different sources. So you can have one friend playing the keyboard, or you playing the keyboard, and it can affect everything. Or you can have it receiving MIDI from a particular channel, right? You can have it receiving MIDI from like a drum machine. And the reason why there's 16 parts, okay, so if you have like a drum machine, like an MPC, you'll notice that there's 16 pads. So each pad, in theory, is one MIDI channel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through 16, 4, 8, 12, 16. And that way you can have, say, MIDI channel 1 controlling the kick, snare, hi-hat, ride, tom, for your drum machine. And the newer drum machines, they handle all this over MIDI. And yeah, that's basically routing. All right, I've rambled on enough. We'll be back with some more fun stuff, and take care.